Hey, what's up, guys? Ronin Man here. I'm out at the cabin with my buddy, and we're just kind of sitting here. He just made me a nice omelet, and we had breakfast and some awesome coffee. And so we're just kind of sitting here. You can hear the bugs outside. I should give you a sound of these bugs here. Just a second. This is the Japanese semi. It's actually very, very beautiful here. And we're going to get out. This is just up at the cabin, but we'll go out by the lake, and you guys are going to see a lot of videos because I'm going to be here for probably 2 weeks. So, going to do a little yoga action. He's going to play his guitar. We're going to hang out. It's fucking great. I haven't been here in a long time, and I can't tell you guys, I'm so stoked because Japan is awesome. Last night there was a party at one of the cabins, and it was just like everything was great. Like, what's surprising was, like, for example, when the girl cooked mochi at the end, we were doing a barbecue and we had all kinds of food and everything, and then she put on this rice cake thing at the end, and everybody, like most of the people up here were born in Japan or lived in Japan for like a long 30 years, 20 years. So everybody's like, they don't even know it, but they're just this kind of, everybody's like a mix of cultures here without even kind of like really knowing what they're doing. It's very natural here, and I love it. I love to watch it, because like a lot of places people brag about their multiculturalism. Like I hate that. Like I like the totally natural way of living, and like up here you see it. Like people are not trying to do anything. They're just like eating what they want. They're saying what they want. And then you can see how the cultures seep into the human brain or how they mix naturally here. And I love that about it. You can meet like a 90-year-old white guy who was born in Japan. And that is amazing to me. That is so amazing because and not that it's such amazing that a white guy was born here, but what's amazing is when you see the way his brain works because you never really are accepted right in Japan. So it's like a complicated thing, right? It's not a simple thing the way he operates. It's not like a Japanese guy. He's a different character, right? And also the up here the culture is old. This community is almost 100 years old. When is it going to be 100 years old?
2 years.
In 2 years. So it's 98 years old. This area, as far as like as a foreign community.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting actually because MacArthur, they during the war they took it away, right? And then MacArthur gave it back to the foreigners basically that owned it before, and a lot of people came back. They went to China or whatever, came back. So this is super fascinating. You guys are going to learn a lot, and we're kind of doing the run up right now for the MGTOW World Summit, but it's just like this is a real treat, you guys. And this is not the most beautiful view here, but you're going to see it's just like absolutely epic up here. The lake, there's a lake down there. There's a lake down there. We'll be down there soon and swimming and stuff. But either way, we're talking about dirty talk, right? And it's really interesting. And what was my friend here? He was talking about it first, so that kind of got me thinking about it. And like, what's interesting for me is that I get a lot of emails, right, from guys listening to the thing, and they're like, they're there's a mix of guys, right? Some guys on this channel are having sex with women on a regular basis. Some people are total monks. Some people are married. Some people are getting divorced. There's such a mix of guys, and but I think there's quite a few guys who have trouble being letting go and kind of being themselves. And one of the ways that you seduce women in public, right? For example, like I say at a party like last night, is the ability to do dirty talk. See, it's not about in bed for me. I could be, and it's not even that I want to sleep with them because right now I'm not sleeping with any women. I don't want to, but I do want to seduce them anyway because it's fun, And so, like at a party, you could be sitting there and then doing and talking, and then she says something and you say something, and the girls, when they see a guy who is able to talk dirty talk, who is able to go to that erotic place, they immediately recognize it. It's at some deep level in their body. Like they understand it. They maybe can't even put it into words, but they understand this guy gets it. It's not like what I hate about dirty talk is like when I hate American dirty talk, basically. Like I don't like it. It's not sexy. Like anything on any porn movie or whatever, it's a joke, right? It's like what they're saying is just like it's a total turnoff to me. What the girls say in the porn movies, and maybe for a lot of people, but I think that it is complicated too because dirty talk can be extremely boring too.
Sure.
It can really backfire. I had one situation with a girl who the dirty talk was super hot, but she never allowed herself to go there with me, and she never shared herself with me, and so at one point it became very boring because it's you can't have dirty talk with one person. Dirty talk is a sharing. It's a deep sharing of two people. It's an eroticism. It's not even about having sex or not having sex.
Yeah.
It's about an acceptance of yourself and an understanding
Yeah.
of that aspect of life. I think dirty talk. I think eroticism or the ability to go there is similar to humor. It's one of these impossible to explain things that is very important.
Yeah.
It's like it's important to keep yourself as a balanced guy. Is that you are a combination of complex things. You're not just a worker. You're not just a friend. You're not just a citizen of your country. You are this actually incredible, complicated. What do they used to call that? What was that word? There was a word for a guy who could do everything.
Renaissance.
Renaissance man. Renaissance man. That's a Renaissance man. And I think we are all Renaissance men, and it's about accepting that and allowing yourself to go there. It's not as complicated as people think. It's not like, oh, there's this one Renaissance man and nobody else. I don't fucking believe that. I think that when you go deep into any human being, they have time to spend with them and to be with them, you realize they have an incredibly rich, there's like a treasure trove of information and experiences and knowledge and thoughts and inside of them, right? So it's about getting people to relax and getting in there, but they can actually start sharing that. Because sometimes a guy won't even know it's inside himself. So many people don't understand themselves.
Right.
And that's the key, is like, that's one thing I want to bring as much as I can, is like allow you guys to start to see inside yourself things that maybe you didn't recognize before or couldn't accept before. And I know with the dirty talk thing, what really surprised me was I got an email from one of the fans, one of the guys who listens, and who's listening now, I'm sure, in Kenya. And he said, like, we in Kenya, like, he heard my episode about how to be the best she's ever had, that episode. Mm-hmm. And he said, in Kenya, we're raised very conservatively. And so this is something we're not comfortable with. We're not comfortable with dirty talk. And I was like really surprised. I was like, okay, I got you. I got where you guys are raised conservatively, and so letting yourself go and being able to talk dirty. And I think there's no good lessons for how to talk dirty. So, I think that how would you get good at it? Because it's scary. I remember the first time someone used the word like cock and stuff, like when I was a kid, when I was little. I was scared of using those kind of words. Yeah. And then I realized at some point, like, it's a big kabuki. It's a big, society is this big kind of bullshit thing where sex is kind of like just a bunch of words, really. It's really like you can get, like you my friend here was saying that he was making girls come just by speaking in Japanese. We were talking about the difference between dirty talk in English and Japanese, and he was saying he can do it in Japanese, and I could never do that. I always did it in English, but the way I did it, and it worked for me. It really worked for me. What I did was, I started to go down the road you're going down about learning Japanese. I already spoke Japanese, but learning Japanese dirty language, right? And then I realized at some point I was trying to do it and it wasn't working. It was sounding really weak, and I knew it, and so then I just, what did it? I can't remember what it was. Oh, I know what it was. I was watching this movie. I think it was called A Fish Called Wanda, and the guy, he said a few Italian words. He's like spaghetti, it was like joke, right? He's like raviolini, whatever, and he's just talking shit, and the girl's like, I love it, throw me on the bed, baby, and like he just says a few Italian words, right? And I thought, oh, it's not about perfect vocabulary. Like, because sometimes you do something you don't even know what you're doing, right? I did it in English totally awesome. Like, I was good at it naturally. But when I started in Japanese, all of a sudden it confused me.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was like learning these specific words.
Right.
And then I realized it wasn't about that. It's about an attitude. Yeah. It's not about like logical thoughts together. It's not about do you have the vocabulary. It's about an attitude. Yeah. So if you can just say spaghetti, and then the girl, and you can be totally confident about it, and the girl will look at you, yeah, and the girl will look at you, and she will be like, she'll get horny. Yeah. And I know a lot of girls listening will say, oh, no, because there's 7% girls listening now, yeah. Right? And I know girls will say no. I say yes, because it's not about what you logically think right now. Yeah. It's when you're sitting there on the bed, yeah. And we're looking eyes, yeah. And I say spaghetti, yeah. In a certain way, and you're going to realize that it's not about spaghetti. Yeah. Yeah. It's about fucking wet pussy, right? It's about you fucking melting, right? Yeah. Like butter. Yeah. And that's what it's about. It's not about like certain words or whatever. Yeah. And I don't even think it's about being dirty, really. Yeah. Exactly. I don't think it's even about dirty words. I think you could essentially you could talk very dirty without ever saying one dirty word. Yeah. You could say something very normal, like coffee or whatever, in a very erotic way where the girl knows, yeah. She knows the game is on. Yeah. She knows what you're saying. Yeah. Right? That's what a dirty talk is to me. Right. It's not about the words. It's about the attitude. And it's about the playfulness, yeah. Of it. Now, of course, it changes, right? It's like a workout, right? Okay, when you first start working out, you're not warmed up. Yeah. And so, or when you're shooting baskets, right? You're shooting baskets, you're warming up. But as you get more warm, then you become more flexible, and you start like, like I love basketball, right? So then you start like making more shots. You start doing more, you're turning around, you're doing a hook shot here and there. You're doing some layups. You're going faster and faster. You're moving around and you're trying new things, right? That's more like I think that's kind of like what sex is, right? You're warming up. You start out a little bit, but sometimes you just need to start. Like awkwardly starting dirty talk is okay. Yeah. I think it's okay. Yeah. Don't be afraid of starting. And here's the thing: you can talk. Once you realize what dirty talk is and how much women need it, you don't even, it's not even about having sex. Like it's not even about fucking having sex, really. You could be, like I've been in situations, like truly, I've been in work situations where I'm in an office and every girl is so turned on by me. I've had this before. And I've never fucked any of them. Like literally, but I'm not bragging. I'm like, it's true. It happened with the words and the looks. And I remember one girl, I was talking to this girl, Mio, and she was like really hot. Mio was pretty hot. She had a kid, but she was pretty hot. And she looked at me and she just goes, sex. And and the whole office started cracking up. It was no, really, she said sex. Yeah. And I looked at her and like the whole office looked at each other. We all started cracking up because it was a Freudian slip to the max. Right. Like I'd never seen a real Freudian slip. That was a real Freudian slip. Right. And she invited me to her house soon after that, and like, in the afternoon, right? Right. And she had a ferret. That was an interesting thing. She had a ferret in her house. Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. I'd never seen a ferret before. But the thing is that it wasn't about the words. It was about the vibe. It's the vibe that is a good thing. So even if let's say you're a monk and you don't want the complications of women, you don't want to have a relationship or whatever, it doesn't matter. This is something that when you start doing it, you will feel good. Like when you laugh, you just start feeling good. You know what I mean? Yeah. You feel this like juice, almost like you feel like this kind of like a warm feeling in your crotch or something, and you feel this happy feeling, like smile come on your face. And it's just a natural thing where you feel lighter and better. That's what I'm talking about. You want that attitude when it comes to sex. And with that, I think the dirty talk becomes more, because you're warmed up, you accept that it's in you. I think that's an important thing to understand, is that we all are sexual beings. We're sexual beings. Like at the very heart of it. All of us. Every single guy listening. You guys, you're all sexual beings, no matter what. And it doesn't matter how you logically feel. It doesn't matter what you think even. It doesn't even matter if you agree, because you are. You know what I mean? There's no way getting around this one.
Yeah.
That's how we got here, you know?
Yeah.
That's how society, this is our big, you know, like you were saying earlier, the pussy is the most powerful thing. It's like, it is, you know? It's we are all in this world, and this is one of the biggest things. We don't talk about it, but it's just underlying, right? So the way that you, I think dirty talk is not, it's a combination for me of eyes. I think eyes are a big part of dirty talk. The look.
Yeah.
It's the ability to look. It's the ability to look at somebody. It could be a woman. It could be a man, where you're not hiding. You're not hiding. There's that. I think that's one of the key things with any of this stuff, is this kind of like, where if a girl senses, or if a guy senses that somebody can't look him in the eyes, what do you feel? You feel untrustworthy. You feel they're hiding something. There's some kind of weakness. That the only reason why you'd hide something is it's either weakness, or they're pretending like they're doing something, but they're doing something else. It's some kind of thing that would fuck them up, right? They have something to hide.
Yeah.
So I think that dirty talk is more about eyes and body language than even talk. It's more about eyes and body language. Like last night at the party, right? There was a girl. She was looking. This just happened last night. We were having this great party. I actually ate so much good food. Me and my friend were just working the barbecue. It was fucking awesome. I ate so much food. I haven't eaten that much food in a long time, man. I just kept eating like a madman. But there was a girl there, and she was talking, and there was a bunch of women there, and there were some hot girls, and there were some young girls. It was everything. It was a mix, right? Yeah. It was an interesting party, right? It was an interesting party. Yeah. And she was sitting there, and she was looking the other way. She was talking to these two guys, and she was talking in Japanese. But she said these days, like, a lot of guys are not nikishoku. They don't eat meat. Like, that's a Japanese word for like. There's like herbivore guys, right? Basically, where the whole MGTOW thing is, like, guys who don't want women, or it's not exactly MGTOW, but it's kind of like, it's a Japanese thing, right? It's this thing where, I don't know, it's more insular. It's way too complicated to talk about here, but basically it's a Japanese thing where guys are not trying to fuck women like they used to. Like in the bubble, when I came here to Japan the first time, the men fucked the women. And it was really cool. Yeah. I mean, really, there was a naturalness to Japan that I loved. And the men definitely, like, they were like confident in screwing the women. Yeah. Yeah. And the women loved it. And it was the whole thing worked, right? Yeah. And then the economy got bad for like 30 years almost, right? Yeah. It's just been getting worse and worse. And with that, things changed, and men change, women change, everything's changed, right? So it's not this whole herbivore thing didn't come out of power.
No, I think it's porn.
Oh, porn, the internet. Streaming, all kinds of stuff. I think it's a mix of economy, everything, confidence. Yeah, I think it's a lot of stuff. It's not just internet. It's a mix of stuff. Changing morals, somewhat. It's not feminism here exactly, but women now, because of Abe's programs, work and don't quit the job when they get married as much as they used to. There's a lot of changing things that are going on that are affecting the balance of power, essentially, in men and women relationships in Japan, and that all is part of it. That all affects the girl's horniness and her willingness to do anything, right? Because when a woman makes more money than a man, it changes everything. It changes the balance of power. I've been in relationships, I've been with girls who they make a lot more money than I do, and other girls where I make more money than them, or we make close to similar. And I can tell you that the dynamics are different in each one, definitely different. Now, if you're playing the game where you're just giving her the bone, and she's super rich, then that is a very special niche. That is almost like she's like a lamb for you. I mean, for everybody else, she's this cold bitch, rich, but for you, she's just a fucking, she's just your cock whore, right? And she loves that kind of thing. Like to everybody else, she's a princess, and everybody, but for you, you're just like absolutely fucking railing her, and giving her everything that she doesn't get from other people. But besides that situation, most of the time when a woman starts making more money, it does affect the dynamic of sex a lot in a bad way, often. And I think that society will come to this realization in a few years. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm not making this happen. I'm just telling you the truth. This is the way it is. It affects the way how much horny they are for you, how much money they make, and where you are in the dominance hierarchy and everything. I don't think women can. I don't think that anybody. There's a lot of women listening actually now. I don't think any women can affect this. I don't think your logic cannot change this type of stuff. You our logic as men, you can't change it. It's just some things we just have to roll with and understand as best we can, and then to try to think of tweaks to it. But either way, so back to the dirty talk. So this girl was talking dirty, basically. What she was doing, okay, she was at the party, and there was a lot of men around. She was over by the barbecue, and she was trying to get attention. She was like, "I'm going to be the woman who's going to be talking about something dirty here," basically. Yeah. But it was a subtle thing, you know. And she said, "Me and my friends." She said, "My friend," right? But basically saying, "Me and my friends, we like Nikashoka guys." Yeah. And that's a very fucking clear message right there, because she was not just trying to get attention then. What she was saying is, I not only want to be fucked, okay, but I want to be fucked hard. Like, I want to get it. I want to get it. That's what she was saying. That was her very clear message. And I heard her. And the other guys, they didn't hear her. They thought she was talking about society and the difference between, different types of guys, Nikashoka guys and herbivores, right? And so I was standing behind her, and she didn't see me. She couldn't see me. But I sensed it, and I knew what she was saying. I immediately knew exactly what she was saying. And I pictured it in my mind. I knew what she wanted right then. And she paused, and then she looked around at me. She could feel me behind her. Yeah, she could feel me she looked at me. And I'm like, everybody else had this kind of like different look on their face. I'm like, I know. That's all. And I walked away. But it was very subtle. I didn't like look at her like smiling or like weird, or I just looked at her like, I know exactly what the fuck you're saying. And I understand that. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing to be in touch with your sexuality, right? Whatever you're doing, you want to be in touch with all the aspects of your life. You want to be in touch with everything, right? That's what life is about. It's about a mix of things. You watch a comedy, then you watch a tragedy, and then you work hard, and then you are disciplined, and then you relax, right? That's what life is. It's all these things, right? So being in touch with this stuff is super, super good, right? And I just looked at her there was like, I didn't even mean to do it. My face was like I know what you want, like right now. I know what you want. And she looked at me, and then later on when I would walk around the party, she would come over next to me. She kind of followed me around the party from then on, and I didn't pay attention to her, but she was somebody's wife at the party, so I was like not gonna. But it was like interesting. So I think dirty talk is about. It's not even about so much like you're gonna say something dirty that she's going to respond to, but I think for guys is you need to understand that some women are up for it, and this is the easiest way to seduce a girl, is this is one of my ways I did was one of my now I realize was that I would be at a party or be at a gathering or be somewhere, and I would sense the girl was up for it. So it's like so easy. All you have to do is just say, "Hey, let's walk down the lake," or you know what I mean, or like, could you help me read this Japanese, description for my to program my whatever, or like I can't read this thing on my heater or whatever, can you help me out, And then she's like, "Oh, okay," like we just get her out of the situation, and then she'll be like, "Why are we here?" And you just look her straight in the eyes and just slowly move in, and she will be just love it, right? So it's about reading when a woman is ready, wanting the sex. That was my seduction. It wasn't about taking a girl who absolutely doesn't want it and is not into it and then seducing her.
Right.
It was the easiest way for me is just to look at 100 fish and know which fish is hungry,
Yeah.
and then you give that fish some food,
Right.
and the fish is totally happy. Now
Right.
the fish might deny it in the beginning, but
Yeah.
that's part of the game too.
Yeah.
It's all part of the seduction game, and I understand that. So it's about just waiting through that, just waiting for her to get to the next stage. It's not about it's more about her, and it's about having a infrared sensor that she is ready for it. It's called seduction, right? But it's not really seduction. It's a lot of it. It is because you still have to do it, but a lot of it is just having that whatever. Like imagine you have some kind of a machine that measures a ray that no one can regularly see, and just to be able to see that. So you put on those glasses or that you have that whatever called like those ships have the beeping thing turns. What is that thing called?
Radar.
Radar. You have radar. Beep, beep, and you can see. Okay, this girl's like super hot. Like look at that.
Yeah.
Look at the heat on that one.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of move in, and then she denies it, and you're like, and you just look at her because and she looks at you because and so dirty talk starts way before talking. And the most important part is the nonverbal dirty talk. And it's like a sensing. It's a sensing of where she's at the heart of it. Because you really can't make a woman be horny. I mean, there are ways and there are times that it can happen, but it's not the good strategy. It's not the good way to go. It's better to if the girl's not into it, like let her go. Let her be. You let her go through her thing, whatever she's going through. Just wait and look and be aware of what's going on, But so dirty talk is, I would say, probably, now that I'm thinking about it, I just realized all this stuff actually when I'm talking. I think dirty talk is probably at least 80% nonverbal.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's not even about the words, because like that guy on the video, right? The spaghetti and ravioli. Now, of course, this was a comedy and everything, and it wasn't real. But I bet you a lot of people watched that video and said spaghetti in bed. Couples. I guarantee you, after that movie, it's called A Fish Called Wanda. It's quite a funny movie. I shouldn't say it's funny, because at the time I thought it was funny. I don't know if I still think it's funny, but at the time I thought it was funny. And like, because I know for sure girls were saying, say spaghetti to me, like that kind of thing, because there's a humor in it, right? It's not even like about the words even, and the girl, they understand that. Some guys, what happens, we get so in our heads that we don't realize, so for the guy in Kenya who was saying he doesn't know dirty talk because he was raised too conservatively, what I say to you is you're full of shit, right? Because dirty talk already. It doesn't even matter if you use the words, and so once you know that right, and you're listening right now and you're like, I do know, okay, now you accept it. Now you just have to put words to what you already are doing. So it's a matter of just amping it up at the right time. So what I don't like about the movies, like for example American porn, is that they will the girl will start saying things like whatever, the words, right, that they say on the porn movies, and then, but it's like out of nowhere, and there's no sense. You don't get the sense that there's anything going on with the two of them. There's no connection. There's no build up. It's just this girl saying these dirty things. Well, I think, actually, speaking of dirty talk, actually, this is really more complex than I thought, actually, the more I think about it. Women think that they can give a guy fake dirty talk and he's going to be happy with it. Because guys are so used to putting up with scraps that the girl just says, fuck me, and then the guy's like, oh yeah, you dirty bitch, that's not dirty talk. That's not at all. Now it could be, but she's got to be red hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can sense it. You know what I mean? Like she's literally got to be so red hot to say
Yeah.
something like that. It's got to be either the peak of it,
Yeah.
of sex itself, or it's got to be where she's just like, I didn't want to do this. I shouldn't be doing this. This is the dumbest thing I've ever done. But you fuck me. You know, like, and that kind of thing. And then she's just like actually just pleading. She's like, then this would be a rare situation. But so she could say it when it's not actually in the middle of sex. But it could work. But generally, no. That kind of word is bad way to go. That's not dirty. That's not dirty. Because it's all about communication, relationships. They are a transaction. They are not a transaction. They are a give and take. They are a give and take. So the boy throwing the ball in the park with his mother, okay, or his father. Yeah. He's throwing the ball. Now he throws the ball, and what does the father do? Is he checking his phone? No. The father catches the ball. He looks at the son. He's like, throw me the ball. He's got that face like, throw me the ball. And then the kid throws him the ball. And of course it bounces or whatever. But see, his face pretends like it was a pretty good throw, right?
Yeah.
And then and then he picks it up. And then you think he just throws the ball to the kid, but actually he doesn't. It's much more complex. The father, if he's a good father, what he's doing is he's always trying to teach his son. So he's looking at, how far he can reach, how fast he is, how tall he is. And he's trying to give him something that he's not good at yet. And he's just giving him a little bit past his, the kid has to he has to reach out for it. And it's just a little bit farther than he should. Yeah. And then he catches it. And then he has this confidence. Like, when you catch the ball half out of your mitt, it's like, yes, I got it, And that's what the ultimate and then he throws it to the kid. And then the kid throws it to him, and then they both. It's about timing, right? So if I throw the ball to my dad, and then he just lets the ball fall on the ground, and he goes to work and comes back 8 hours later and picks the ball up and throws it, that's not catch, because it's about right now, me and you, at this moment, in this time, together, playing this game together. Yeah. That is what human relations are about. And people that don't understand this, this is the heart of the whole thing. The heart of sex, the heart of supporting people, being friends with people. It's like you're in the moment, you have good intentions, right? And you're paying attention to the other person. Where are they at? Where are you at? And you're expressing yourself, but at the same time you're in the space with them. You're down there. That's what I love about this cabin. It's like down here, it's very easy to relax and get into a very relaxed space here, But it brings you down in that. And that's what dirty talk or sex starts at, is in the mind, in the way outside of any kind of sexual activity, right? Once you actually have sex, it's almost like sometimes it can be so hot, the dirty talk or the dirty looks or the dirty lead up can even be hotter than the sex itself at times, right? And you have to be comfortable with that. As a guy, if you want to be, I would say the best way to be is don't expect anything. Just realize that things are not always going to work out the way you want to, They can be very, very hot sometimes, but sometimes they can be very, very not, And it's hard to accept that for guys, because guys want it to be the same every time, or they want, because the lead up was so hot, it's going to be hot now, or you know what I mean? Like, I had one situation that taught me so much, was down in Kyushu. I was on vacation. I was down in Beppu at this little, no. I was down at the Tsunoburo place. I don't forget the name of it. I think it's Kagoshima. And they have these hot bath with sand. Right. Yeah, and they bury you in this hot sand because there's a volcano underneath there, and the sand's heated up, and then they bury you, and it's like a massage or whatever, and bath thing. And so I was down there, and I had this really hot girl who was down visiting me, and she was just like a banshee. Like, this girl was just a fucking natural, right? And I just had to I had to like when when you start a fire and and the fire is like so hot that when it's done there's not even ashes left. It's almost like a hole where there used to be wood. It's like the wood is gone, everything else is gone. It's been burned. Like like everything is gone, and things that were not supposed to be gone are gone. Like the sand has been burned down or something. Like
Right.
it was just so fucking hot, right? And that's how she was. A lot of times with her, sex was like that. And this weekend was like that. It was New Year's Eve. I remember it was New Year's Eve. She came, and we just fucked and fucked and fucked. And finally, when we were checking out of the hotel, it was 10 in the morning or whatever, and check out, and it was like 2 minutes to 10. I said we have time for one more, and I looked down the hallway, and there was these cleaners. They were cleaning the other rooms down the hallway,
Yeah.
and so I got her, and we started fucking, and there was something about the fact that we knew the cleaners were hearing, and there's only 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
It made it super hot, and I just absolutely destroyed her, and she destroyed me, and we both burned the ground down to just to nothing. Like it was like a blue flame or a white flame or whatever, and I just destroyed her. And when we finished, we left the door open so the cleaners could hear us and see us. Like it was like so hot, and like everybody could probably hear us in the hotel. And then what happened when we left, I said, hey, I'm sorry for being past checkout, and the ladies were like, don't worry, baby. They're like they were like fine with us like being an hour late. It was funny. Super funny. But the thing is that okay, so then she left, okay? And then another girl came to visit me that day on that trip. And she was dumpy. And she was not hot. And she was never hot. I shouldn't say we'd never had. We had one time that was hot, actually. I was fucking her and her period came on during the time. And it actually turned hot that time for some reason. Because blood was just spurting down my balls. It was super hot, actually. There was one time. But it was her comment that made it hot. She looked at me and as I was and the blood was going all over the floor. And she said, you're the kind of guy who finishes what he starts, while I was fucking her. And there was something about it that really turned me on. Like, she was complimenting me, like it was hot. It ended up being hot. But besides that, it was always cold with her. It was never hot, unfortunately. So she came over that night, and she really wanted it because it was on vacation. She had flown all the way down there from Tokyo. It's like a 3-hour flight or whatever. And here she was down there to visit me. I was on vacation too, and I was tired. I had used up. I was used up from the morning because the other sex was in the morning.
Yeah.
And so she came down. I there was nothing left, and especially for her, because she was so dumpy and boring.
Yeah.
Sexually. So what happened was, it was like the worst sex ever, and she was so bummed out because I could tell in her mind, she really wanted good sex that night, and that was the end of our relationship. Actually, out of the Cernaburos, we were already breaking up. I could tell, and she actually got interested in another guy at the Cernaburos. Yeah, because it was like it was over, and I was glad to see her go. Although I thought she was a nice person and everything, but it never worked with her. It never worked. But so the thing is, I was very down after that. And it was difficult to put it into my mind because the morning had been some of the hottest sex with one of the hottest girls of my entire life, right? And then the night was this so depressing situation with this ugly girl. So part of being a confident man is that you realize that there are these extreme ups and downs in life, but you're the same man regardless. Like I am the same. Like some people would say, like a lot of people would say actually that know me, that I'm like a total seducer. But I have the shittiest nights too, and the most terrible days too, and the terrible situations, and it's like accepting the fact that you're gonna have, in the midst of good, you're gonna have very bad too, and it depends on the girl. Actually that night, I don't think it depended on the girl. I was just tired. I didn't even want to fuck her. I really wanted to just save her that morning. That's all I wanted to do. It was so hot. The door was open. The cleaners were there. It was so fucking hot. And she was so fucking hot. It was incredible. I mean, it was just like I could have savored that for a few weeks, you know, and that's what I wanted to do. You know, when you eat something really good and the flavor's still in your mouth, you know, afterwards, like a really nice dinner or like a nice wine or whatever, you know, it's like still in there. You know, that's kind of like what I wanted to do with that one. I didn't want to ruin it with sex with another woman because I knew there's no way it was going to be that level. But I think that taught me a lot that day because that all happened in one day. And like I went from the highest highs and I wasn't high on myself that morning at all. I was high on the situation. And I think I was a little bit high on the girl too, you know?
Yeah.
Because the fact that she was so playful and so hot and up for things and like she laughed, like I think it was her laugh when I said it's 2 minutes till, you know? And there's something about that. Yeah. And the fact that she let me do it with the door open and everything. Like it was like those little things. Yeah. So a lot of times girls will say, I read this article the other day. Oh, it's fucking hilarious. Oh, it was the worst article. The girl said, guys with big dicks have a secret. They don't get it that hard. So this girl, like she was saying, like she had all these guys with big dicks who the dicks were not that hard. Yeah. And what she was basically saying is that she's not very sexy. Mm-hmm. She didn't know it. Yeah. She thought she was talking about the guys. Yeah. She wasn't talking about the guys at all. She was talking about herself. Mm-hmm. She was just basically admitting that she's like really disjointed and doing the wrong thing with her life. Like somehow she is not in touch with herself. She's not in touch with the guys. Yeah. She's not in touch with anything. You know, like the fact that, the whole thing was like that. A lot of times when you read something, you read an article and they think they're saying one thing with the article, but they're actually saying something else. So I think that's part of understanding the world is to be able to read through these things. What she was saying is I have some serious problems. I probably she has some trauma in her background, you know. She's totally out of touch with who she is and what she's doing. And that's probably why she's even like just searching for guys with big dicks too. She thinks that's somehow gonna turn her on or it's gonna somehow it's gonna fix her problem or something, you know. But actually there's some malaise, there's some problems underneath that, right? So I could read that in there. But it's funny because it was saying but like I think a lot of people don't know themselves. They like that was so ridiculous. Cause it was I bet you a lot of people live their whole lives like that with being so out of touch and not even knowing, you know, like when sex is bad or when dirty talk is bad, it's okay. I can fake it with any girl one time. No matter how not sensual the girl is, I can figure her out. And you got to go back and listen to the one, how to be the best she's ever had, because I can use that technique, which is definitely a Ronin only technique I figured out. And it's like I can use that, and I can go in and I can turn a girl on, no matter how not turned on she is. Usually, no matter really no matter what, it's like a microwave. I can do it. But the thing is, long term you cannot. Long term you got to deal with reality. And if the girl has problems, and I don't mean problems in a bad way. I shouldn't say the word problems actually, because I don't think that way. If she's got issues that she's struggling with or doesn't understand, or there's things going on in her brain that are not, she hasn't, you know, quite wrapped up yet. We all have things like this, right? Life is complicated, right? None of us are perfect, right? You know, we're all trying to figure life out, right? If there's stuff there, she will tend to blame it on the guy. That's an easy thing to do for a woman, is say, you know, he couldn't get it up, or, you know, guys with big dicks can't get hard. She can say that. Yeah. And she got a lot of views on that article because everybody wanted to read about that. Yeah. You know, a woman talking about sex, it always gets a lot of attention. Yeah. You know, especially talking about big dicks like that. It was in some major magazine, right? I was hilarious because the comments, nobody understood what she was really saying, which I could easily see. It was so obvious, right? So I think that the problem with dirty talk is with all sex, is that in the end, you look at each other after 9 months, or even after one night, after some period of time, and then you realize you don't really know them, and you don't really have a connection. And so that if that's not there, and that connection is not even about words, like I said, it's so much different things. If you think the connection is about words, you're really off on things. You know, the connection is something you feel. You feel a connection with somebody. That's just the way it is. Some things you just don't feel a connection for. You can come up with all the logical reasons in the fucking world, but there's some people that you would just run out on the railroad tracks and push them out of the way and get hit by a train for. You know what I mean? For whatever reason. That's what I'm talking about. It's like this natural thing. It's a feeling, right? Yeah. So I think when it comes to dirty talk, is that what you want to do? It's the actual mechanics of it. Is that you want to, besides the first time. The first time you can microwave it, right? But after that, you have to start to sense where she's at that day, sense where you're at that day, and then see if there's something you can work with. You know, where you're trying to. It's kind of like when you're trying to. I don't know if you guys ever create things together, like try to write a song or something. You like sit down at the desk and it doesn't feel right, and then you write some things, but you put the timer down and you write anyway, because you say, okay, I'm going to write from like 8 to 10.
Yeah.
I'm going to create from 8 to 10. It doesn't seem creative, but this is how real writers write. They sit down and they force themselves, and then the ideas come after a while. First they'll write, oh, this is stupid. I have no new ideas today. I can't think of anything. This is the dumbest thing. It's not going to work. And they're like, oh, but there was this fisherman this morning. Right. And then they go off and then they start writing and then it comes out, right? So that writer's attitude is a good attitude for dirty talk. So sometimes you just have to sit down and start to do it. You know, start to have to be ready to do it, and you need. This is in a situation. Now I talked before about the sense of dirty talk in a public place, in with girls that you're not having sex with, and I personally think that's the more powerful thing. It's like girls can sense, like in my office, they could sense something with me, and I could sense, and I could. It was almost like fuck. It's almost like magic. Like it's almost like black magic. Like you're putting, and the girls know it too. Like some of my long-term friends, like girls, that they will say, "Don't do it to me," and I'm like, "Don't do what?" They're like, "You know, just don't do that today. Like don't do that." Like some girl will say that. I'm not even having sex with her. It's like it's a friend, but like I can turn them on. I can get them thinking about sex in the middle of a regular day, without even saying anything. And they know, and the girls that this one girl, she's probably listening. You know who you are too. Okay, she like literally says to me a couple times. She said like, "Don't do that today. Don't do that." I'm like, "Don't do what?" And she's like, "Just don't do that. Don't do that." And like I can't deal with it. And I thought really, because she verbalized something that I didn't even know I was doing, but I knew I was doing at the same time, you know? So it was dirty talk within normal conversation. Because the dirty talk is more about tone of voice and the attitude and stuff like that, right? You know? So I was like literally, we had this thing where, and you guys know this, you've had girls like this or friends where you're not having sex with her, but you're like turning each other on somehow. That's what I'm talking about. We were kind of doing that. And we would talk about sex too. And eventually it broke out where we got naked together and we got to the point of having sex. And then she said, "Do you really want to do this?" Because we're friends. And I said, "Nah, we shouldn't." You know, we didn't do it in the end, you know, but we've always kind of been, ever since then, it actually got kind of hotter after that in a way. We've never had sex, by the way, never. But there's something going on there, right? That's what really, like, I think that is really the fertile ground. If you need a garden example, a garden is you dig in the soil and you take the roots out, you take the rocks out, and then if you really want a good garden, you have to dig down 2 shovel deep. and you have to clean out all the rocks, all the garbage, and then you add some rich, nutrient soil or fertilizer or something that well composted dirt, and then you add it in there, and then it's very easy to grow things. So dirty talk is the plant, but it's really the garden is the key to dirty talk. You know, you can't just make a plant in concrete, right? You need to. It's all about the garden underneath and understanding that, and the looks and the attitude and the vibe and the connection and the being there in the moment with them and the playfulness and the not pushing. I never had, even though I say this number, but it's probably more actually. But let's just say 700 girls. I never had a girl accuse me of anything. I never had a girl ever say that I sexually did. I never had a Me Too. There's a reason why that was because I was going with what they wanted. Sometimes I felt honestly, sometimes I felt like a construction worker going to work when I was fucking the girls. Like I imagine putting on my hard. I even said it to one of my friends. I said I got to put on my hard hat, and I got to go do some work right now, because the girl was coming over. Because at the time I had a bunch of girls, and I get tired of them coming over. But you can't stop it, right? Once you set it up, it's like a nuclear plant. A nuclear plant has to run 24 hours a day, and all the electricity you don't use of it has to be wasted. It's different than solar. Solar, you have to save the power because only in the daytime you get the maximum power, and there's different ways to manage power, right? A nuclear plant is different. My dad worked at a nuclear plant. A nuclear plant goes 24 hours a day. It goes full power only. There's no way to turn it down. It's full power. And so a lot of nuclear power gets wasted, actually, because there's too much power. And power doesn't go over distances very well. So it's just for the city, right? There's no way to save it. So it just gets wasted. But it doesn't matter because the power comes so easy from a nuclear plant that it just keeps coming. And so it's actually a very inefficient way to do power, actually, a nuclear plant. But that's kind of the way you are once you have a bunch of girls set up. You're just you're going all the time, whether you want to or not. You're just going. You're just going to, every day you have to go. You're just going, boom, 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 boom. Whereas the solar power is that you get, I think I would say probably as I get older, I'm more like a solar panel with a Tesla battery. You're collecting the energy and you're saving it, and then you're giving it out when you want to. It's more like that. Whereas when I was young, I was like a nuclear power plant. Like literally, I just 24 hours a day, I was always ready to go. And I remember some girl actually, I just heard this the other day. She said, "Paul will fuck anybody," and so she wanted me to fuck her. Apparently, she told her friend. But she was fat. I don't like fat girls. I will not. I've never been fat. I don't find fat attractive. I work a lot of energy. I give a lot of energy not to be fat. So I'm not against fat people, but when it comes to sexuality, I have no interest. A girl could be, as long as she's skinny, she could be so ugly, I could want to fuck her. No problem. Yeah. It's just, especially if she has that skinniness around the lower back and around the neck and ankles, that femininity around her hands, around the wrists, that right there is just enough for me. That's it. I'm done. I don't need anything else. It doesn't need a pretty face, That to me, that's not a big deal, Big boobs, not a big deal. It's that there's that femininity in the small sections of her, and if she has really fat ankles, it's kind of hard. Even if she's not fat, she's skinny, but she has those kind of fat ankles.
Yeah,
that is a major turn off for me. I feel like she's a beast of the field.
Yeah,
to my, I'm not talking to my logical brain.
Yeah,
because I have a lot of friends who look various ways. I'm talking about my preference, and everybody has a right to have a preference. And people that say men should not have a preference, they are completely, of course it's like almost a human rights violation to not accept men for what they are, because we are what we are, and women are what they are. You have to accept that. There is no other. What else can you do? A dog cannot program AI. Not yet.
Yeah.
You can expect the dog to do it, complain about it, but the dog cannot do it.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know how to use a keyboard. How is he going to use a computer? And how is he going to know the language, right? So when you expect something from somebody, you can do it if it's politically correct. You could expect the dog to, and everybody can ignore the fact the dog can't do it, and everybody can stand around like the king has no clothes. You can do that all your whole life, or you can say, wait a second, no. When it comes to sexuality, this is an unspoken, deep, almost. I wouldn't say uncontrollable because you can control your actions, but the vibe of sexuality is a totally uncontrollable thing. You know, it's obviously in real society. Well, I'm not saying we don't control actions, but the actual sexuality and the sensuality and all this stuff under the curtain, the currents deep under the ocean, they just move around. And that's more like sexuality and more like this kind of thing. So when I say talking dirty, I started this talking dirty, right? But actually, I talked more about the preparation for talking dirty, because when a woman, or if you're gay, a man, because there are gay guys listening, I know that too for sure. If you sense that sexuality, then you basically, the way you do dirty talk is that well, there's many ways to do it, right? There's that funny way. The funny way is pretty good, like the spaghetti way. Yeah. That's actually not a bad way to do dirty talk, depending on the girl. But at the end of the day, it's a cop out to me. It's weak and it's a cop out. That's why I don't do it. I don't do that funny way. The reason why is because it's a cop out. It's like, when a kid can't say the word, he's like, say in high school or college or whatever, he can't say cock yet. He's still saying like down there, or a girl's saying like down there. Because she can't say the dirty word yet, or the real word. Yeah. She can't name her own body. Right. Or he can't talk about something, or he doesn't feel comfortable. The reason why is because he's not accepting and mature enough to do that yet. His mind hasn't accepted his body yet. And she hasn't accepted herself yet as a sexual being, right? So I think that kind of spaghetti kind of talk, that's kind of like that. It's that kind of not accepting yourself. But it's a good way to start. Don't get me wrong. And starting is everything. It's not about, oh, you're not here, so you're nothing. No, starting is everything. It's like the first basket you shoot. You're going to be not warmed up. You need to warm up. Everybody needs to warm up. It's just the way it is. And so even if you're experienced, you might have to warm up. But basically in the end, it's about accepting. And this is one of my message to the guy listening who said this from Kenya. Is it about accepting, and you've probably already done now, you're listening to this, you've already understood totally everything. But it's about, you're doing the words like you're throwing the ball to the boy. You're throwing the ball to the boy just a little bit out of his reach, just a little bit past his ability. And the words that you're using in dirty talk are just a little bit past what you should be saying. Right? Mm-hmm. It's just like a little bit more dirty than the situation requires. Right. And so it's you're taking the lead and the responsibility to lead this down a sexual road. Right. And if the girl likes you or whatever likes you, they're going to go down that road with you. Because you're leading them down confidently leading them down that way. Right. And somebody has to do that. Yeah. And usually it's the man, right? Yeah. But I want to say this too, it's a really complicated topic, because sometimes the best way to go is start off, let's just say it's speed wise, you're on a speedometer, you're at 2 miles an hour, and to start at 150 and go straight up to that dirty word. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's the way to go too. Mm-hmm. Dirty talk doesn't have to be, if dirty talk and sexuality in general is predictable, it's not sexy. It's not sexy at all. Yeah. And if you eat breakfast, you just the same way every time. So that's part of it, is that it has to be some variety, right? So sometimes dirty talk, the best way is just to start real dirty, like real dirty, like right off the bat. And then sometimes here's the way that works for me. Let's say I say I won't say it now because probably YouTube will ban it or whatever, but let's just say I'm with a girl and I say a real dirty word right off the bat. Yeah. Or I whisper it in her at work or something, right? Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean, okay, here's another key aspect of dirty talk or sexuality, is that it doesn't mean that it's going to happen soon. Mm. This could be a slow cooker. We got a slow cooker making some curry over here, and it's been cooking for like 2 days.
Yeah.
You can be slow cooking that dirty talk.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes it's about dropping a bomb,
Yeah.
and then letting that just simmer in the grill for a long time,
Yeah.
and then later on,
Yeah.
adding some fuel to that fire. So a lot of I mean, it reminds me of seduction too, because one of the things I learned that was really key, that in fact, if you do want to fuck girls, the best way is, in my mind, is to not do what everybody else is doing. So one of the things I would do different was, I would, for example, let's say I would invite them over for breakfast, right? Basically my system was, I would meet them, get their number, get out of there. Right. Nowadays it would be meet them, get their Instagram, get out of there. Right. Instagram is the best way to contact a woman. Yeah. Number one, Instagram. I can explain that one in a later video if you're interested. Yeah, that's the best way. So Instagram, get her Instagram for a lot of reasons. Okay. This is like deep, this one. Instagram is the way to go. Okay. Number one. Okay. Trust me on this one. Yeah. And you want to get her Instagram, and then you want to meet her once. Don't do anything sexual. Don't look at her boobs. Don't make any jokes. Just have coffee with her. Just get to know her a little bit. And then at the peak of the conversation, when she's laughing, things are super fun, like 45 minutes in, you got to go to work. You're just like, oh, geez, I got to go do a project. I got to get out of here. It's been great meeting you. And she's like, looks at you like so, she's like, oh, like this was so fun. Yeah. And that's when you leave. Okay, right then at the peak. Then you call her and say, oh, I had a great time meeting you. And she'll be like, oh, yeah, me too. I had a great time. And then you say, can you cook or whatever? And then she'll say, yeah, I can cook. Or she'll say, I can make eggs or whatever, And say, why don't you come over and make breakfast? And then you have her come over and make breakfast. Right? Breakfast is the key. Because girls feel like sluts at night. So in the morning, they don't feel like sluts. Right? This is a key, big difference, right? Don't try to fuck a girl at night. Yeah. Now, there is a certain type of girl that you only want to fuck at night. Okay, it's like a 20% of women you want to choose night instead of morning. But 80% of women, you want to have them come over in the morning. Yeah. There's another 20%, and it's very difficult to know the difference in the beginning. But there's a difference, and those girls, they want it at night. Okay? It's a different type of girl. Yeah. It's called I think it's called sociosexual or something. You can look it up. It's a term. It's a certain type of woman that you should know the difference, because there are some women that are outside the box. But 80%, have them go for breakfast. Then when they're cooking, whatever, you come up behind them, and instead of doing what every guy does, okay, and the reason why sex is not sexy, seduction's not sexy, is that every guy does the same thing, right? What do? First, you look at her, then you try to kiss her, and then you try to, like as you kiss her more, deeper, right? And then you try to kiss her neck, then you try to hug her close, right? And then you try to move your hands closer to different things, Basically, you want to start with the tits, right? And then go down, And you kind of like, there's a process, right? That most guys follow, right? Okay. Well, that process in itself is boring. Okay. Maybe it's exciting for the first time, when the girl's like her virgin or something, but basically it's not exciting, right? So for any girl who's had a lot of sex, or, whatever, an adult woman has seen this before. Okay. This movie, this rodeo, she's seen a million times before, and you do want to mix it up. So the two things you could do, I'm just giving you a couple ideas here that I could go on an 18 video series on this easily, just the act of seduction. Like, I could go so many different ways, but one basic thing, I think a basic rule would be, you want to go out of order, and you want to do it in a place that's unexpected at a time that's unexpected. So the time is the morning. That's unexpected. The out of location. She's cooking, and you come behind her. Yeah. And then you like kiss her on the neck, and then you go straight for the pussy. Yeah. Once she like moans or looks back and kisses you, you go straight. Maybe not straight to the pussy, but you might go down between the legs come up the middle of the thigh. You don't go in the order you're supposed to go in. And trust me, if you do this right, that is very much a turn on because it's a surprise. Nobody does that at seduction stage. So you might go very slow. Like I'm not saying go. It's so difficult, guys. Okay, to explain something that 10,000 people can understand what I'm talking about in what situation with one girl. Because when I'm telling you, I'm actually thinking of a specific girls when I did it, and I'm ignoring all the other times when I did something else, right? So I'm trying to describe something, and you have to get the vibe of it, right? So basically, it's out of order, but at the same time, you always want to, like I said, the reason why no girls me too'd me is because I waited till they wanted it from me more than I wanted it from them. So I would pause and I would go slow. I'm not moving fast. I'm moving extremely slow, right? My hand maybe now could go fast too because you could mix it up, right? But the first time you want to make sure she's giving you the okay, right? And it's not, you don't want to. Okay, here's the thing, guys. Waiting for the okay is not about legal protection. This is what guys don't understand. It's about good sex. Yeah, it's about good sex. You want to wait for the okay, not because of a lawyer, not because of a court, because of her body, right? You want her body to be ready for your body, right? And that's what and so that's why you want to time it. Forget the lawyers, forget any legal things, forget modern society. You're dealing with two animals, right? And you're an animal, she's an animal, and you're right now you're doing an ancient, mystical, unexplainable, words don't express dance right now. And so that's what it's about. So you're slowly, what I would say as a general rule would be to maybe touch the middle of the back of her thigh, maybe, and then slowly edge your way up.
Right.
So what you're doing is you're giving her time as you're moving up, and it's sensual, but it's not touching anything sexual. And she's giving you the okay by the fact that she's turning her head around, or she's playfully saying not yet, or something like that. She's giving you the okay, like, okay, whatever it is. Again, the difficulty is this, and it is difficult. Okay, it is difficult to explain, and sex is, in some ways, one of the most complex things there is, really. So I'm not saying paint this by the numbers. I'm giving you a vibe, a feeling, an idea, right? So it's almost like every inch should get hotter,
right,
as you move. Basically. Now, sometimes a girl, like especially some cultures, the girl will not react to you. She will just sit there almost frozen. But once you understand that culture, you're going to understand that she's either saying yes or no. So understanding yes or no or not yet is about being in touch. And okay, here's the thing. Okay, I really want to say this. A lot of guys think that modern society is against men on this topic, and that women are putting guys in an impossible situation, and that the whole thing is incredibly dangerous and difficult. And I mean, I would say yes, in the sense that there are people who are evil, basically, who are not out for your best interests. Okay, there are bad people. There are people who are sadistic. There are people who almost plan your demise. I mean, I'm not talking about those people. I'm not talking about that situation. That exists, but that can exist in business. It can exist in friendship. It can exist in war. It can your co-soldiers. It can work. It can exist in love. So it's not like only exists in love that somebody don't have your best interest in mind. You have to be careful of this all the time. And the thing is, you're built for it. Our brains can exist. What is it? Like we take in like 2 million bits of information a second or something. Like our brains can handle this. Your brain can handle the complexities of sex. Don't let some girl make you think that you are so out of touch, you're like clumsy or she's like some kind of smooth fucking operator. Bullshit. You got it, man. That's my message to guys. But you have to start to listen to it and believe it. And sense that you do have it. You are the man.
Yeah.
You do understand sexuality.
Right.
I don't even care if you've ever had sex. Like if you're a young guy, because a lot of young guys are listening to this podcast. Like, it doesn't matter. It's in you. It's in you from millions of years ago. It is absolutely in all of us. Okay, this is like, can you breathe? Are you breathing? Yeah, ask yourself, yes, I am. Okay, then you are it's part of you. Sexuality is part of you. And what happens is you might meet one person who you really don't match with, and then you label yourself as not being a sexual guy or being awkward or something. But that was just one experience. Look at my one day I had. In one sense, I was the hottest guy ever, and funny and everything good. And then at night, like terrible, right? So we have everything in us. And it's like accepting that it will all come out at times. And it doesn't either. I wasn't full of pride afterwards, and I wasn't really that crushed afterwards. I mean, it did hurt my feelings. It was difficult for me because I wanted to tell her. I really wanted to tell the girl at night how hot the morning was. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to say, look, baby, I'm so sorry, but here's what happened this morning. And I'm burned to the ground. And you know what? Looking back, that's what I should have done. I should have told that second girl. I should have said, I know you came down here. I think you're a nice person. I would love to give you red hot sex tonight. But what I really want you to do is listen to my story tonight. Let's snog a bit. Let's get some good sleep. And let's see what happens tomorrow. That's what I should have said. Because she knew I wasn't monogamous. I mean, where I met her was a group of 5 girls at this group that I go to. And I was already screwing 3 of them. So she already knew. Not only was I screwing other girls, I was screwing her friends. So this girl was not like thinking I was a monogamous with her at all. So all I had to do is like, what I should have done is had the confidence to tell her about the morning. And it wasn't to brag, it was really to share. That was a very meaningful thing for me that morning. That's the thing about sex. It's get out of your mind. It's like, it's not a pride thing. It's like a absolutely delicious laughter, or the best food you've ever had, or the most wonderful swim at night you've ever had. It's a sensual, awesome part of life, right? So when you talk about it, it's a part of your deep humanness, right? I should have shared it in that sense with her, not in the sense of like crushing her in any way. Because I should have even said, like, I'm sharing with you because I feel comfortable sharing this with you. And I want to share this with you. And I want to share more sensuality with you. But I feel that we haven't reached that level yet. And that would have been very honest. Actually, you know what? Now I know exactly what I should have done that night. Because she would have loved that, actually. Because it would have been our first honest conversation about sex with her. She was quite rigid and difficult to talk to. But this would have broken her down because she already knew I wasn't monogamous. And I should have just said, look, I want to get to that level, and maybe this will help us get it there. Talking about something real, and breaking a few societal boundaries. Because it was like this stupid game where she knew I had other girls, but we're pretending like we're monogamous when we're together. Both of us were. It was stupid. It was a stupid game we were playing, and it didn't work. Right. And it's my fault too. It's both of our faults. And that's the thing about sensuality is it's both of your faults. What women like to do is they like to say to men, oh, that guy's no good. That guy's no good. It's kind of like no guys with big dicks get hard. Right. It's like, baby, what's the thing in common here? I guarantee you another woman could have written that article very differently.
Sure.
Very differently, right? You know what I mean? And so it's about, it is that game of catch where you are both in touch with, having good intentions in the moment, and trying to help at the same time as doing a physical thing and everything. It's that give and take of human relationships, right? So once you understand this and you get the concept of dirty talk, because I'll tell you something, here's what I'll end on, is that the thing that turns women on the most, okay, the way women are built, which I've never heard, but this is my opinion, it's definitely true. Really. It's women love to break social mores. Okay, more than men. Men can do it and it can be hot.
Right.
But women, it's like one of the key things is that they are told to be a certain way. Maybe because of history, maybe because of evolution, I don't know what it is, but society, culture, whatever, or just the way they're built, DNA. But women absolutely love to break whatever social norms there are. Mm-hmm. So this is what the damning thing about marriage is because the thing they're not supposed to do is things that would be bad for you as the husband, right? Yeah. As the man. So, but those are the things that she is built to want and need. So anything that society doesn't want the girl to do is going to basically force women to make that the hottest thing that they can possibly do. And the scary thing is that turns on. That's what whole Pandora's box is about. Opening Pandora's box is when you, for me, one of the key aspects, or what I think Pandora's box is when you turn a woman on into a demon. Basically, you take a normal woman who lives a normal life in the Matrix, and you turn her on past that point where she goes into nuclear meltdown. Okay, so it's like when the nuclear fire gets so hot that you don't need anything else to. It's a chain reaction, and that's what happens in a nuclear explosion. Is you have a small explosion that sets off the chain reaction of this atom hits that atom and that atom and they each one. Yeah. That's what starts the whole chain. You need something to start that chain. Once that chain is started, there's no stopping it. It's just she's now a demon. That's what The Exorcist was about. That's what Pandora's box is about. This is what society is the most scared of. Society is the most scared of a woman in chain reaction. They're not really scared of men. And there's a good reason for that. There's a reason why they're not scared of men, because men can't really affect that much sexually, really, but except for making a baby. And that is a very powerful thing. So that affects life in another way. But once a woman has been turned on past that point, she is beyond rational. You have changed her forever. And I got to the point where I got so good at getting that chain reaction going with women that I stopped doing it. I don't do it anymore on purpose, because they become this voracious beast that can't be satisfied. Like there's no way to satisfy them. I can't satisfy them. Nobody can. No one man can. Like I literally had this woman. Okay, this is a true story. Her name was Nana. And so Nana, she was this normal girl. She actually was quite sexy, but I turned her on past that point because she turned me on so much that I saw something in her, and I just wanted to. What was my desire for her? It was like I could not get deep into her enough. Like when I really want to be with a woman, I think of Mexican chocolate melting into hot milk. You stick this big chunk. It's actually partly corn, but you stick it in the hot milk, and then you slowly stir it around, and you heat the milk up to a certain level, and then it melts in there. I want to melt into the girl. When I'm actually having the hottest sex, that's actually what I'm thinking. It's like I actually am melting into her soul. I'm actually not thinking about sex at all. It's more of this other thing. I'm thinking of like melting, like almost like our atoms my atoms are inside of her atoms, like her brain. It's like we are completely one. And we are just like we are one. We're like a beating heart. We're like a throbbing, beating, nuclear fired heart kind of thing, like heat, together. And then out of that comes a lot of sexuality. But I don't even think about that part. I just go into this, like, my brain is like this throbbing, heating thing, like we're together. And when I do that, everything turns good on the outside. But I'm not even thinking about anything. I'm not thinking about any way to have sex. I'm not thinking about doing this or that. All I have to do is get into that mode, and the sex goes great. And it doesn't matter what we do. It doesn't matter what physical acts we do. It's like that's the mode for me. And that also is very relaxing, because once you get into that mode, it's a very comfortable mode, and you just roll with that. And you're trying to keep the thing hot without letting it cool down, right? And then whatever your body does, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's gonna be fine, right? Because you feel the heat, you see the heat in her, you feel it in you, and you're heating it up, you're heating it up, you're heating it up, and that could be dirty talk, or that could be physical, but it's like you said earlier, sex is mainly in the mind of the woman, and I think sex is mainly in the mind of the man too, and it's about getting that. In fact, I would say yes, sex is mainly in the mind of the man, and I'm telling you this, if you're an older guy, this is golden information. You need to know that. You know what I mean? If you know that, I think that you can be functional until you're very old. If you understand that. Because it is in your mind. But when you're young, you get fooled because you think it's in your body. But it's actually in your mind even when you're young too. Because I remember some girls, they would do something to me. And I would call my friend and I would say, I have to drill this chick. And they'd say, well, have you kissed her? Have you done anything? It's like, no. And I would drill her that night. Because she would have done something to me that just like, I knew she wanted it for me. She wanted it and she wanted it for me. And I was like a nuclear missile going to go in and get that. And I knew it was true. And she would look at me like, what are you doing? And I'd be like, just going in like a missile. But very slow missile, right? But I'm coming in. And then she would finally like give in and say, basically, I wanted it so bad, and then like get her. I would get her. Sometimes I get her to admit. Sometimes she would just admit it with her body. But it would be like you can't have any doubts. This is the problem with trying to regulate sex or trying to put laws around sex, is that it is this complicated. Regardless of how you write laws, sex is this complicated, and even for the legislators writing these laws, they have to go home to their wives. And it's just that complicated for them. So we can play whatever game we want in society, right? We can have the rules and this and that and do the best we can to kind of make a society that is safe to be in and it's not dangerous. But in the end, we have to deal with it. It's complicated, right? It's very complicated, right? It's never going to be completely fair. Like a parking ticket is not fair, You could be just a little bit on a little line and then you didn't notice because you had a little bit bigger car, and you were trying your best not to hurt the old lady over there. But still you got the ticket and it wasn't fair. Life is laws and life is never going to be fair. And when it comes to sexuality, especially, right? So I think, but the way as a guy, now I'm not saying this is guaranteed. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm saying for me, the reason why I've been very successful. 2, I've never had any problems. And 3, I could have been much more successful. Like, I just don't care anymore. I don't want it. I'm not looking for, is because you follow this path, this natural path, and things will be good. Because I think in the end, okay, in the end, sexuality, sensuality, physicality, the feeling of connection is so important to humans that if you have the right attitude, women are going to sense it and they appreciate it. They really do. Truly. Women need somebody who understands that. They really, truly, truly do. And a lot of guys don't. And if you understand it, they're going to give you a break on so many things because they know they need a guy like that. They need a guy who gets it. Some guys got to get it. Some guys got to not listen to words all the time. Some guys got to understand what's really going on in her brain. She doesn't have the capacity to tell you what she's feeling. She hasn't been socially trained to do that, right? Socially, that's not what she's going to do, right? And she's not going to tell you things. It's about you to understand that and to respect that and to have enough, I guess, ideas or experience or variety or whatever it is that you can manage that process. Now, of course, this is all very complicated, but isn't that what all life is? And we accept that. And we all are capable of dealing with all this stuff, you know. So it's like, there it is. It's not simple at all. So dirty talk is this kind of, if I was going to say it in a nutshell, is this, a garden of sensual, sexual, erotic undertones, deep ocean movements that you both feel, that you sense. And there's always a moment when she senses that you are also in that with her. And that is based on the moment only. There is no set thing that you can do with all girls. So it's about paying attention to her and being in that moment. And then she notices you're in that moment. And she notices that you also understand this. And then she starts to feel. And then you feel. And we mirror each other at this point. We mirror. Humans mirror each other. That's why you have to be careful who you hang out with. Is because you're going to mirror people. That's why you want to be surrounded by good people. And a woman will mirror your sexuality if you're doing what I'm saying. And so she will... I'm not saying you're going to turn around. But again, the key is to find somebody in that mode. But at that point, then, she's mirroring you. And you're mirroring her. And if you want it to keep going, you have to mirror her. Right? You have to sense where she's at. Paying attention to her. But at the same time, you're leading. You're the man. A man always has to take the risk. A man always has to lead. But that doesn't mean physically. I might, if I was worried about something, let's say I was worried about something. Let's say I got a sense that some girl was playing games, right? And she was going to play some game with me. I just thought of this. I might say something like, "Why don't you suck my dick first before we kiss? I don't trust you." And the girl says, "Why don't you trust me?" I just sense something about you. So I'm not going to make the first move. If you want this, you come right here and get it. And I'm not even going to touch you. If you don't want it, that's fine. But if you want it, I want to see you right down there, looking up at me with your eyes. And the girl, and a girl would be like, she's caught. Yeah. She's deer in the headlights. She has to make a decision, right? Yeah. And that's the out of order type of thing. So there are things you could do to actually change her. She might start. See, the thing is, it's a huge relief to a girl to realize that you're comfortable with yourself when you understand this stuff. Because, see, what she might say is, "I don't want to," but she might like you better as a friend. Because she senses that there's a refreshing honesty to this that I can't put into words, and I don't know if that example did it. But the thing is that you are a refreshing, healthy, honest person about sex. I was never called a creep in my entire life. And that is the key thing, is you are not a creep. But at the same time, you are a sexual being who's comfortable with himself. And so that is the understanding you need that will help you, So once you understand that, and that you don't need anything from them, you don't need anything. If she does it, she does it. I'm very happy with just things not even happening, just a hot sexual vibe happening. Is that to me is a thing. Personally, it always has been. Like it's the scenario. I had a girl give me a BJ on a dance floor once, in front of everybody on the dance floor. And that was probably the hottest sexual thing I've ever done in my entire life. I mean, it was like, seriously, it was way hotter than having sex with her at home. I mean, it was slow. My dick was totally visible. It was in the middle of the dance floor. And she was like fully going for it. I mean, she wasn't just in her mouth. She was like licking up the shaft.
Right.
Ball, slow, looking up at me. It was like nobody else was there. And I just froze and just looked down at her. And I just thought, I thought to myself, the reason why I think she liked it was that I looked at her not as a dirty girl. I looked at her as a almost like a powerful Greek sex goddess who could control the whole world with her power.
Mm.
That was the look I gave her. Like, you were the most incredible, powerful thing. And she loved it. And the people on the dance floor just were mesmerized by the whole scene. Nobody said anything. Nobody turned us in. Nobody did a fucking thing. Because they all appreciated it. It was so hot. It was like we shared a moment. It was fucking hot as fuck. I'm telling you. It was the hottest fucking thing I've ever had. And I wasn't embarrassed afterwards. And I wasn't proud afterwards. I just thought, wow, that was amazing. That's what I thought. I thought, my God, that was powerful. What in the fuck just happened? You know? And now I just now realize what I was thinking about her when I did. Because see, what you think about the girl affects how she feels. Sometimes you want to treat her like you know, there's a lot of play scenarios that you do when you're having sex, right? One could be like, she's a trailer trash girl and you're coming in as the big business. There's all these plays that you play, and this is all games. They're not serious. But in this one, I sensed that she needed respect. She wanted, it was not the time to do anything else. It was to respect her and to feel her. And because it does require a lot of confidence for a girl to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it does. It requires, because for the guy, it doesn't require as much confidence. Because for a guy, you feel like you're the man, right? For a woman to do that, there's a lot of bad names she could be called.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would do stupid things like that. But that's the key is that, so in other words, what the words you use in dirty talk or dirty thoughts or dirty seduction, whatever, they are very important, even if you don't say them. I believe that the fact that I thought of her as a powerful goddess at that moment, or not moment, it was a long time actually, is because the reason why it worked, and the reason why everybody else respected it, and it wasn't dirty, the reason why nobody said anything, is because it was very appropriate and beautiful. It was. Now, 99% of the time, in fact, 9,999 times out of 10,000, this would be totally inappropriate thing to do, and it would not work. Okay? So that is the key, is you have to, if you really want to have that kind of good dirty talk, you need to know the difference in how to act. Because I had never thought of a girl as a sex goddess before. I don't even know if since then I ever have. But I sensed she needed that respect to make it work for her. And it did very much work for her. You know? And I've always thought that is the hottest thing I've ever done, actually. I've actually never told anybody this story. This was the hottest thing that ever happened to me. And it was very hot for everybody. And so, but it was about being in the moment. I don't think I could recreate that. I couldn't go to a dance club tonight. I would get arrested. It wouldn't work. So if you're in the moment, not only does she feel it, but other people feel it. People understand this. We all need this. We need sensuality in our lives. We need physical touch. We need emotion. We need love. We need caring. We need playfulness. We need sex. We need respect. We need all this stuff. This is like super deep, important stuff. So if you have that attitude towards sex, this will make you a much better in bed, much better in sexuality. And also, I think your vibe, your aura will help you in business too, because you're kind of in touch with this. But at the same time, you're not needing it. You're not wanting it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's not that kind of thing. It's just that you understand it and you're able to go into it, and you can play along with it, right? Whatever that is, right? So I think that's my thing on dirty talk. Whatever words you use from whatever culture you're at, take a mix of these ideas. Going too fast sometimes is good. Going too slow sometimes good. Playful is good. Serious is sometimes good. Deep respect is good sometimes. And then that kind of like fake looking down on or making fun of. It can all be very hot. Whether it's happening to you or you're doing it to them. Doesn't matter. It can work both ways because you're not like a paper thin. This is the last thing I'll say. For a guy, a lot of guys, and this is why a lot of women don't respect guys, is because when they get alone in bed, the guy is paper thin. He's got no confidence. And women know that because they actually have sex with you. So they know how much confidence you actually have. And you can pretend all you like when you're not in bed. But the women, they know. They play along. They in society, they act the same to every husband, but they don't feel the same to every husband or every man. They know the difference. The women really respect this, a guy who is in touch with himself in this sense. So, and I think in the end you'll feel better about yourself because you'll know you're on the right track. It's about that you know when you're on the, you know what I mean? So don't be like these other guys. I can tell you this, why the bar is pretty low. Although this is all complicated stuff. The bar is low because most men, you say one thing about them, like you hint about their dick or whatever, and they will be destroyed. I am not like that. They can say anything to me at one moment, and I know I got it. It might not be with her, it might not be tonight, but it really doesn't matter because that I can take a punch. When you're in a fight, you got to take a few punches. Okay? You know, you're not going to have a fight. You're not going to win a fight without any punches. Maybe once, but that's just the one time, the lucky punch, right? You know, the glass jaw, right? But generally in fights, you have to take a bunch of punches. People will say, "Whoa, you're going to fight." You're like, "Well, you should see the other guy, right?" You know what I mean? Like that's life, that's sex, that's this whole game. So if you can't take a punch, then the girls, you can't be in the game if you can't take a punch. Okay? You have to accept the fact that there'll be some girls in the world who will think you're the worst lay in the whole world. There are women who will think that about you. And the thing is that you don't match with them. You know what I mean? Or the timing wasn't right with them. And that's the way it is. It's fine. It's totally fine. You know, but as a guy, it's very hard to accept this stuff, actually. Most guys will just give up. You know, it's about having that confidence. You're like, it's confidence in yourself. You know, I think that's what it's about. Is this confidence, this deep confidence and knowledge of yourself, knowledge of sexuality, that knowledge, that confidence. I would say understanding. I don't like the word confidence because confidence is like, I have this fake, what do you call it? Like, fake it till you make it type thing. That's not what it's about. That's not what it's about. It's about understanding. So your confidence will come from understanding more. That's the thing. Is when you understand more, when you understand yourself better, and when you understand the nature of living beings better, your confidence will naturally rise because, one, it won't get crushed by simple things. Because you'll realize that you're in the game, you're part of the game of life. It's all a tragedy comedy. And it's the same with girls too. You think every girl's a sex goddess to every guy? You think most girls never had the feeling that a man thought they were controlling the world, like almost like a lever to move the whole world, right? That girl on the dance floor, she knew that. And she was really, I don't know, we had like a deep thing after that. You know what I mean? We did, me and her. It was cool. It was a different kind of thing, right? So that's it. Is like, it's deep, it's real, it's complicated. You can handle it. You got what it takes. You know, you got what it takes. You have what it takes. There is no question about that. Right? There is no question about that. All right, guys. We're at the lake and it's freaking awesome today. So we're going to be down there and I got to get off because I'm going to lose my voice. Because I had a cold for several days. I was like, I got to Japan and I got this cold. And it was actually good because I got by myself. And what do you call it? I went inside, you know. It was a very good few days actually for me. It was lonely, but it was beautiful actually. So this, I was off. I was totally off everything. I was barely survived the worst cold, and I just coming out of it now. So we're up at the lake, and I can't wait to jump in the water and see what's going on here. You know, you guys are gonna see this place is freaking awesome. Japan is so has such a variety of things that it will blow your mind. It'll blow your mind. Japan is like literally one of the best countries in the world to live in. There's no question. I'm going to try to show you a few things here. All right, guys. Ronin Man signing off. And if you want to come to the convention summit, it's September 6th, 7, 8, 2019. So if you're hearing this in 2019, in Japan, we're gonna meet in Shinjuku area. Everything is secret. You're not going to get a schedule in advance. None of them. You never get a schedule. There never will be a location or a schedule. I screen everybody who comes. I'm very careful. We've always had a great time, deep sharing with other men and learning, and it's going to be awesome. And each one is different. It depends on you. So bring yourself. You're not a consumer. You're not watching. You're bringing something. You have something to bring, and we want that. We need that. That will help us to create the event that we will create this time, right? And it's going to be different than the last one. So if you've never been to Japan, don't worry. It's easy to get here. I flew here for $200 round trip, which was amazing. I'm from Thailand. $200, including taxes. That was amazing. So look for a cheap ticket. And if you can come longer, it's better. I'm leaving on the 12th, okay? I'm leaving on the 12th back to Thailand. So although I might extend it, actually. We'll see about that. But either way, the 12th is my ticket to home. So if you're gonna time it, we can go to the airport together and go back home on the 12th. So I don't know if we're gonna be together the whole time, but 6, 7, 8 definitely. And we're gonna see what happens after that. We might go to the beach or we'll see. We'll see what the guys are up for. Anyway, guys, Ronin Man signing off. Thanks for listening. Hope that was helpful.